Welcome, dummies. This is Fantasy Football for Dummies. Today I'm with my good friend and brother, best man at my wedding, and number one human being in the entire world, Earth, galaxy of the Milky Way, Hunter Lahamdu. Hold your applause. Hold your applause. Um, what do you have to say to the crew, the dummies out there?
Oh, hi, dummies. It's good to be here. Glad Trevor was able to invite me on here. I'm excited.
Yeah, I have a guest celebrity appearance, so this page should be blowing up right about now.
And,
Um,
and talks here in the
Today,
Milky Way. So
I have never seen a channel do this. I thought it was a good idea. I want to try to react to a trade value chart from CBS. I want to see what everybody thinks of it. it to I want to win some people some leagues, and I want to help some teams out, and I want you to outsmart your dummy league mates. So we're here. We're going to talk about this trade value chart and what we think about it. So right at the top of the list, McCaffrey, number one. I don't think you don't have any question about that, do you?
nope, no question. Give me some McCaffrey anywhere I can get him.
Okay, but then we get to number two, and I know you have some thoughts on ETN. Can you indulge us on some of your findings?
Yeah, so I've been lucky enough to have ETN in our family league, and it's been a nice trip. But you go look at the stats. You look at the how he's been doing. It looks like he gets the work, he gets the touches. Looks like there might be a little bit of touchdown regression coming involved. I think something like the last 3 games he's had up 2 touchdowns at least. Coming to Pittsburgh this week, 10th ranked, 10th best team to play against, but off the bye week 9, he's going against San Fran, Tennessee. Um, if he's selling for something like that, if I can, pair ETN up with something else, or give me one of these close guys right behind ETN and get something else. If I need a little depth, I might jump at it.
Uh, See, like I hear you, but I also don't hear you because I love ETN. He's a
He's
big
solid, man. It's nothing against him.
uh you get a guy in that Jaguars offense, he's getting thrown to, he's getting the ball, he's getting the rock. I do have some concerns with the offensive line just a bit. We'll see how it holds up and how he holds up for the rest of the year, injury concerned wise. But overall, I feel like guys like Kamara, Barkley, even I wouldn't so much it. Maybe Kenneth Walker. I think you could get those guys for ETN. I think he's appropriately ranked. As for now, I don't see. I understand where you're coming from, though. That it makes sense. I could see the touchdown regression coming. I just don't see his touches going away. That's my only concern with that. So
Yeah.
we'll see who's the dummy after this take. So I've had plenty of mine this past week. Uh, Uh, and I'm going to jump down a little bit, and that kind of goes along with our next one, Bijan Robinson. Uh, he has a headache, and Arthur Smith completely just doesn't play him until the fourth quarter. I think he literally put him in for a carry just so he didn't get in trouble with the NFL or NFLPA or anybody. Um, I mean, strange situation, but I mean, I still value Bijan Robinson about the same as I did. I'm not so much of a conspiracy theorist about this and thinking that Algier and Cordell Patterson are taking over this backfield. Would you kind of agree with that?
Yeah, weird situation, right? You got a top tier rookie running back that they invested a high draft pick in. There's got to be a reason they're sitting him out like that. I don't think this is something to look into much. It's something I'd forget about. Take into account, the work that he's done, the fact he hasn't even scored a touchdown yet, a rushing touchdown yet. And if somebody wants to sell him because of 1 week, him having a headache and being out, then please do give me some of that.
Yeah, let's get some of that Bijan Robinson. I absolutely love him. I loved him all year. I've been taking Bijan Robinson over a lot of guys that I maybe am regretting a little bit at this point, but overall, I'm 99% certain he's gonna be fine. Um,
Oh,
and deck the halls with lots of joy. Fa la 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 la. That's Brees Hall. So I see Brees Hall just winning leagues this year. I've been trying to get him really badly. I actually had a trade lined up in a certain league where I had Puka Nakua to get rid of for Brees Hall, and I am regretting it. As good as Puka's been, I see Brees Hall being much better. Another possible league winner. Um, the Jets, I don't know what happened to the Jets, but they aren't the Jets that we think of without Aaron Rodgers week one. They actually seem like a decent offense that likes to run the rock with a good defense. I don't see that kind of going away. That's another guy I'm buying. Who's another person you see from here you'd like to buy?
Man, sitting in this area, I mean, you've got Austin Eckler who's coming off the ankle, didn't look very great last week. I think today he practiced in full, so hopefully as he recovers, he'll start turning to the Eckler we all know and love, especially now that there's no Mike Williams. That only helps him get a little bit more manufactured touches in that already really good Justin Herbert led offense.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. I don't see a whole lot. I see more concern with this situation than Bijan, but I, I don't know. I trust Eckler way too much. I feel like all his fantasy takes or for fantasy players, I don't. He always goes on fantasy podcasts. He's always looking out for us. He's not worried. I'm not worried. That's that's
Yep,
the safest way to put it.
and contract year. That's all you got to say. He's going to get those stats, and he's going to do everything he can to secure that bag.
Exactly. So let's see. Let's kind of go down the list a little bit, but not too much. Another guy we talked, Kamara. Kamara's been good. I don't know if he should be ranked as $31 though. I actually put him down probably with um probably below David Montgomery. I'd probably put Kamara below David Montgomery. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, it's a totally different story if you're in a non-PPR versus PPR league because for whatever reason, Derek Carr doesn't want to throw the ball to Chris Olave, but that's that's one of my personal vendettas right now. Um, but taking that, the ball's not going down the field. All the checkdowns are going to Kamara. All those touches, obviously, you're going to rank him higher in a PPR. But how long is that going to last until these defenses start keying in on that and realizing that Carr doesn't want to push down the field?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go through these guys, but not really talk about them as much. I have some other guys I think we want to talk about. So Saquon
Yep.
Barkley, I think appropriately ranked. I don't have anything wrong with it. Um, Jonathan Taylor, do you have any problem with this? I don't, but I feel like it's a hot take.
No, I have a little concern with Zach Moss being there, but the work's been trending in the right direction. It looks like they're trying to get him involved more, and my God, that's a good talent. So
Yeah, I agree. I think he's appropriately ranked. Kenneth Walker, it's another, and Tony Pollard, David Montgomery. We're getting in that range of starting to get the tier 2, tier 3 guys. Um, between all of these, I'm going to go over one I hate and one I like. Tony Pollard, I I kind of, I think he's lower than what he should be. I think he's up there even above Saquon, to be honest. I don't know about you, but he's been used a lot in a good offense. He's looked talented. They have a good offensive line. I don't really see many red flags here. Maybe with the team overall with the Cowboys, but not with Tony Pollard himself.
yeah, I
And
think that
another,
slow pace of play is a concern. But he's getting the work, and he's been showing the results, so he's getting the touches.
and I know you're kind of talked about some of these guys. I'm kind of concerned with Miami's running backs. I'm going to specifically say Mostert. I think one of them will get the work, and maybe this is just a guess, but I'm going to say Mostert. I'm going to go Mostert. I don't like at all. I was telling you guys to sell him last week. While you could, had a dismal performance, granted against a good defense. But I just don't see how he's going to be able to touch the rock so many times and do well with it. Simple as that.
Yeah, I hear you. I do not agree at the slightest bit, though. I think that Miami offense is different, man. And Mostert's not a guy who's ever gotten or really should ever gotten 20, 30 touches a game. He's been productive with 10 touches in San Francisco. He can be productive in this offense here in Miami. I think Mike McDaniels is trying to find ways to get that talent on the field. So once Achan comes back, it's going to be the same idea where they can get both those guys on the field, and then that high-powered offense, man, is just different. And I know last week they were coming off some O-line injuries, and for whatever reason, they just didn't feel like blocking Hassan Reddick off the edge for many plays. But I think Mostert, you were calling for everybody to sell him. I was out trying to buy him last week, and it was a tough matchup, and I don't regret it quite yet.
I'm not sure either. I mean, if you have Mostert right now, it's probably best to hold him, but since he had that off week, but I feel like you missed your mark there, in my opinion. But so be it. There's still a lot of strength, like you said. The Miami offense, by the way, just to track me. Have you ever seen just like speed, straight up, just speed on the field? There's no one.
This is ridiculous. I've never seen them. I've never seen an NFL team just run to the sidelines like what they do, and be successful at doing it.
I mean, Mike McDaniel's got the talent around him to get the playbook he wants, the kind of plays he wants to run. So good for the Dolphins. Overall, though, they still have to prove it, but still, they proved it against some okay teams. We'll say the least. Hopefully, they can get it started against some good teams. But anybody else you love on this list, hate on this list? Hashtag free Aaron Jones.
There's a lot of concern right now, even after the big game. I feel like with Derrick Henry. Would you agree?
I don't like Derrick Henry. I don't like Derrick Henry. I don't like the way he's running. I don't like the Titans offense. I like Tajay Spears a lot. I could see how he could be good for the next couple weeks, but I don't see him keeping this up for much longer. I mean, he's proved us wrong before.
I see the concern around it. He's a guy who gets touches. You got Tajay Spears coming in and doing really well with the touches that he got, and but look at the schedule coming off the bye. I mean, he's got Atlanta this week. It's a tough matchup. Week 9 going to Pittsburgh. But you get into week 12, Carolina. 13 going against Indianapolis. Week 14 against Miami. May not be the best matchup. They might be involving Spears there a little bit more. But going into the playoffs, week 15, week 17, he gets to play Houston twice. So if I can take advantage of that and give me some Derrick Henry, I think he's still got a little bit of juice left in those legs.
All right. Well, I mean, it makes sense though. If there's one guy to defy the laws of physics of fantasy football, it's Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is an absolute beast.
Year after year, man. Everybody keeps saying he's gonna fall off. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
It's like the cliff
mentality I've had. I'll keep buying until it happens, and it's been going well for me these past few years.
It's like the cliff with Brady, man. Like it could be the same thing. Everybody calling for it and just not being right about it. Let's see. So Jacobs, I don't like a lot. I'm not going to go too far into that though. I'm going to get into some other guys. Swift, I think is appropriate. I am a bit concerned, but I'm not flailing my arms up at DeAndre Swift. So I'm going to move on. Again, hashtag free Aaron Jones season. Is it? Do you feel that way? I know there's a lot of hot takes on Aaron Jones of whether to buy the dip or sell high right now or just hold to see. He's a hot name. Mm-hmm. What do you think of Aaron Jones?
I don't know how I feel about Aaron Jones. He's such a good talent. It just seems like it's not coming into fruition a lot of games.
I will say this: AJ Dillon was used a lot this past game, and AJ Dillon, I know sometimes looks bad, but sometimes he looks good, and it's just confusing. I don't know if you saw he was playing his what's that? The tractor game late at night. He was streaming it during his bye week. So maybe if he continues playing that game, maybe he continue with these numbers. I don't know.
Yes, gotta turn
If
himself
you did
into a
not see
tractor.
that, if you did not see that, you have to see the TikTok of him streaming his farm game. He was just in a wheat field with his tractor, just going back and forth. Uh, that man has no worries, but we have worries. I have worries about a couple of people on this list. Jerome Ford injured. Um, not too much. Gibbs is a guy I was really buying into when he first was dipping, and now I'm not so hot on it simply because of his usage. Um, this is kind of maybe I'm just digging too deep here, but every time they use Gibbs, they use him a ton. He's a pretty skinny back, I would say, and I feel like this is going to lead to injuries later on. And overall, you can't rely on just like being an RB2 being ranked this high. In a backfield where you have to rely on starting him whenever the top tier starter is out. Um, that's just how I feel about that. Any guys you see on this list that you want to talk? I'd say Kyron Williams is moved down quite a bit. By the way, he got put on IR. Maybe that's his before he did that. But being put on IR, I feel like that kind of devalues Kyron Williams quite a bit. But other than that,
Yeah, yeah. Give me when you start getting to this RB3, RB4 tier, it's like give me some running backs that are going to be significantly upgraded if there's an injury in front of them. And when I'm looking at that, I'm going down. I'm seeing Chuba Hubbard. He's been performing really well. He's looked
like
really good with Miles Sanders there. Miles Sanders gets hurt and then he comes out and performs. Um, Miles Sanders may have gotten the money, but Chuba's the one making it happen on the field and showing some results. You look at that, you look at Tajee Spears, something happens to Derrick Henry, or Derrick Henry gets traded, like some of the rumors are going around about this. Tajee Spears is a guy who steps up and he can run the ball and he can catch a lot of passes out of the backfield and help you out in a PPR league.
yeah.
Then you go into the Tyler Algier and the Jalen Warren. It's the same idea, maybe more so Jalen Warren, but it's a talented running back and produce explosive plays in an offense that may not be prone to produce explosive plays, but those touches mean a lot. If you're struggling at running back, if you're struggling in that position and you're looking for something, go find some of these guys, go trade some of these guys, and sometimes it's just sitting and hoping. You get enough of those guys on your team, the odds are slowly turning in your favor that there's going to be an injury in the most injury prone position in the league.
I will say this: people are biased in general. So when you're going out to look for some of these guys, don't be afraid to get a guy you don't know about. DeMercado is a guy I don't know much about, but I'm not afraid to go try to get him. He was used a lot this past week in Arizona. The first week he wasn't. Who knows why? Could be he didn't know the offense. But either way, he's a young guy getting to know the offense even more and more and more. And he seems talented enough to be starting there. So don't be afraid to get some of these guys. Another one is Chris Rodriguez. I believe it's Chris. I could be wrong. Rodriguez from the Washington backfield. They've been using him a lot past 2 weeks. This is a deep sleeper. But I don't see a lot of people talking about him. He didn't look that bad. He's being used over Gibson and Brian Robinson. Those guys haven't really done much to win that job, and Washington likes to run the ball. I could see him possibly taking over. Yeah, get some of these guys that a lot of people haven't really heard about. Spears is one. McLaughlin is one. Like I said, Robinson. I agree with you. Overall, you want to get young guys because rookies tend to bloom a little bit later, especially if they're running back and wide receiver positions mid to late year. So make sure to go buy those guys. All right, so let's see. You see anybody else on this running backs tier that you really want to talk about? Any names you want to throw out?
No, not in particular. Say again.
Any names you want to throw out there that aren't on this list that I did with DeMercado or Rodriguez?
And you got DeMarcado, I like him, and I was very upset to see you pick Rodriguez. That was one of the guys that I had in mind. You picked him up in our home league and nice deep league there, and it was darn it, I didn't think anybody else knew about him. They're just one of those things is that mindset of being a little scrappy like Trevor is on the waiver wire. It's you're not always trying to hit the home run. You're just trying to move in the general right direction and get a little bit better on that, improve that team just a little bit more every day. Especially at this point in the season where people are starting to take their foot off the gas a little bit. People are starting to give up on their leagues. You can go out and win a league on the waiver wire by finding somebody with a legitimate path to become a fantasy relevant or a fantasy starter.
Yeah, that's let me get the play call. That's head coach Hunter Lahamody right there speaking. So, sorry, that was a little
Keep
bit much,
grinding.
but so we're gonna bite their kneecaps off.
Yeah, we're gonna bite some kneecaps. This is a chippy game of fantasy football. This is.
I mean, you gotta look ahead.
Grind away.
You can't be one step, two step. You gotta be trying to be 3 steps ahead because man, some people just take those leagues seriously, like I do, and so you just
Mm-hmm.
always have to be thinking about that if you take it seriously. That's
Yeah, and
one
it's
thing.
never
Even if
over.
you
You
don't
can
know a
always
lot.
all you need to do is slip into the playoffs. All you need to do is slip in. I
Yeah,
started
and you
leagues
don't.
1-5 last year, and I won one of those leagues where I started 1-5, and it's just keep plugging away, and just all you need is a chance. Just make the playoffs, and you got a chance.
And this is completely off topic, but if you are a new person in fantasy football in general, this is a good channel to listen to. Um, we're not ones to go ahead and say, I wouldn't call myself an expert. I'm sure Hunter wouldn't go ahead and call himself an expert. I say we just do our research. Um, and that's what you'll find out is there's a lot of people out there that have their opinions, and you'll find your way to do well as long as you put time and effort towards it. So we're here to help you out with that, help you win some leagues, make the playoffs, beat all your rivals. That's the big thing, which I haven't been able to do. It's been very frustrating. I've been getting wins, just not against my rivals, and it's been very frustrating for me. Uh, but fantasy football is a fun game. That's why we're here, right? So another fun guy is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, number one wide receiver. I don't think there's any doubt about that, man. Tyreek Hill, he's been break. I mean, he's talking about 2,000 yards in fantasy football. He might do it this year. So if you have Tyreek Hill, don't trade him. This is not a sell high. This is appropriately ranked Tyreek Hill at number one. Cooper Kupp, I think, is a little high. I'm not going to lie. I like Cooper Kupp, my little Cooper Kupp, but
Wow.
my little Cooper Kupp, he should be with Puka Nakua. Like they should be ranked back to back. I think they both have their strengths. Cooper Kupp has more experience with Stafford, so but he's also going to end up getting an eyed by defenses more than Puka is at the same time. So I feel like that evens out. So I feel like they should be back to back, probably behind Jamar Chase ish. So I would probably move up Puka above Amon and then below Jamar Chase.
Yep.
So there's one of my loves is Puka. I love my little Pukachi. They like to call me so Pokemon. Let's see. We got AJ Brown. I think should be higher as well. I mean, there's not much with these top guys. They're all really good. I guess it's just a preference. But once you get from Amon, even Keenan Allen up to Tyreek Hill, I feel like you pretty much can mix and match. Maybe not Tyreek Hill, but up to Cooper Kupp. You can mix and match where you want there.
Yeah, for me, that top tier, Hill, Cup, kind of Cup, maybe more of a B off that tier. You got Diggs, Brown, just get force fed targets. Chase, who started the year off very slow and has picked it up as Joe Burrow's gotten healthy. Um, those are some guys that sit in that top tier for me.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you can't trade for them because none of them had off weeks. Well, one guy who did have an off week, though, or maybe not so much of an off week, but he dropped. I mean, he could have had a touchdown. Devontae Adams. If you have Devontae Adams out there, I'm trading for Devontae Adams. You're talking about possibly the most talented wide receiver in the entire NFL. Sorry about that. And I mean, it doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. I could be out there at quarterback. I'm going to try to throw to Devontae Adams. So I don't quite understand it. I mean, I kind of do. Those are really good top guys, but I feel like he's involved in that here, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, you go out, you throw away the last 2, 3 games against Green Bay at 8.5 points in PPR, New England 5 points, Chicago, 13 points. Those are really disappointing stat lines for a guy like Devontae Adams, and these are stat lines with Brian Hoyer throwing the ball. I know Jimmy G's not known to push that ball down the field all that much, but the performance has been a lot better with Jimmy G, and that's a guy I want to go after too. Is try to give me some Devontae Adams. If they want to sell him like he's a wide receiver too, or something along that lines, and I'll take that all day, and I'll take my chances going forward. Another guy with a pretty decent schedule towards the end of the year. Week comes on the bye week 13, comes off the bye, goes against Minnesota. Uh, first week of the playoffs, going against the Chargers, then last week against Indianapolis. That's a guy. That's a guy who I'll take any day of the week if he's undervalued.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree that it's he. Someone's out there trying to trade him, so go try to get him, and you could probably get him for pretty cheap, especially if someone who just lost this week maybe is getting a little bit desperate, a little bit antsy. Now's the time. Go get him. Um, Another guy I really want to trade for, Justin Jefferson. So I want to talk about this a little bit. Just hang with me. I don't have a fancy chart or anything, but just when players get injured, that's when they're the most devalued, when they first get injured. And I feel like a lot of times in fantasy, they, because of biases, losses, and just people playing with fantasy with emotion, you have to know that Justin Jefferson is most valued when he's about to come back, and it's about at this moment, right before he's about to come back. So a couple weeks from now, he's expected to come back. Now's the time to trade for him. It's the perfect time. Go get Justin Jefferson if you can afford it. I guess I should say, if you're sitting there at like 2-5, something like that, I mean, you kind of got to win some games. But either way, if you can get, I mean, heck, if you can get it for cheap, even at 2-5, I mean, I think it's worth the risk. So, some of these, again, people are desperate. People do desperate times make for desperate measures. So, wouldn't be surprised if someone went ahead and had a great deal for you. You give them a good player, maybe like I don't know, like a Waddle or Collins or even Thielen, Olave, Hunter Love. Maybe you can get that deal done.
Yep, if he is coming back, I mean, it looked pretty bleak at first with Minnesota the way they started. It looked like they might just kind of give up on the season, shut Justin Jefferson down. But with them winning the last few games, and man, look at their schedule coming up. Um, they're they're
Yeah,
they're playing against some pretty soft opponents coming up. They're going against Chicago. That's a winnable game. San Fran, maybe not. Green Bay, that's a winnable game. Atlanta, New Orleans, Denver, Chicago, off the bye, Vegas. I mean, give me some of that. They're going. Minnesota's gonna win games. They're in a very winnable division right now, and they're gonna feel that pressure to get Justin Jefferson back up and going.
get on your Jets and go get Jay Jettis. That's what we're telling you. Um, by the way, Cam Akers, that's another running back I really like deep formats. Um, oh man, and DJ Moore, our favorite player. I know somebody who had DJ Moore is very happy with his possible fumble recovery. So we have. Well, let me give you some
Oh
background. I'm
my
sorry.
goodness.
So we have Hunter and I are involved in this league together where we have defensive players. So if and the defensive stats are pretty skewed. So if you get a fumble recovery, it's a lot of points. DJ Moore, if you remember at the end of that game, came over and hit the ball out from the wide receiver, allegedly, at least. according to the NFL stat book. And yeah, so the defender who intercepted the ball ended up not actually getting a fumble, and he recovered his own fumble or didn't fumble at all. Either way, DJ Moore did not get the fumble recovery, and somebody lost their game. So
he got the fumble recovery. They took away a tackle from him though, which
okay.
made me lose to your wife by less than a point.
It's getting good.
And this stat correction was made on the Sunday after the game, after I'd talked endless loads of crap. So I'm gonna have to eat some crow there.
She was more concerned for you than she was for winning.
Yeah.
When she was like, and me being me, I called you, but she was like, "Is he going to be okay?" I was like, "I'm sure he'll be fine," and you were not happy.
I was not happy. Lots of
To be fair, I
F-words.
wouldn't either. It was not, it wasn't the prettiest of situations. I think anybody would be mad in that situation. I just thought it'd be funny. I didn't think about that too much. All right, but our next guy,
Yeah.
Chris Olave. Yeah, I don't like Chris Olave. We'll just say that. What do you think of Chris Olave? Because you seem to have a lot to say about him.
I love Chris Olave. I
You
love Chris
love,
Olave a lot. The player,
I
I
love,
love Chris Olave. I love a
I
lot. Now, Chris Olave is a guy
love looks
who
olive.
is a extremely talented receiver in an offense that is not pushing the ball downfield to him, which is what he needs to be successful and getting him the touchdown receptions that he needs. I think he only has one touchdown on the year, if I'm not mistaken. So there might be a little bit of positive regression with that. A talented receiver. I think he's still slotted pretty correctly in that wide receiver 2 spot. If he was in the right situation, he's up there with Amon-Ra, Puka, Keenan, I feel like. But the situation is what it is. Derek Carr doesn't feel like pushing the ball down the field, and so we're just gonna keep screaming for Jameis Winston until it happens.
Oh my goodness. I
Could you
listen.
imagine? That'd be a lot of fun, wouldn't
It would be a ton of fun. Remember Jameis Winston threw 30 interceptions? I think he was my fantasy quarterback that year when he threw 30 interceptions. Ooh. Anyways,
Oh
no,
yeah,
the
he was.
Olive Garden is
It was
not
so
for me.
helpful.
The Olive Garden is for some people. The Olave Garden. And I are you kidding me? Watching that game, nothing gave me high hopes for Chris Olave. Nothing did. Derek Carr was not happy with Chris Olave. I was not happy with Chris Olave, to be fair. And now I didn't even have Chris Olave. I love Chris Olave the whole season. Everybody did, though, to be fair. Everybody was drafting him. And he's a very talented wide receiver. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but I'm starting to like a lot of the Saints offense, except for Olave. I don't know why they can't seem to get him going. Michael Thomas looks like he's doing stuff there. Kamara's there. He's back. He's doing things. And then you have Taysom Hill just randomly showing up at tight end and just going ahead and getting stats that way. Like where does Olave fit into this offense? I'm not sure. They're trying to get him involved, but Derek Carr, man, you're talking about a guy that was, it's very sad. Derek Carr, who cries after games, was very angry with Chris Olave. I mean, I don't
I mean,
know.
you just need a guy who's willing to throw the ball down the field for a guy like Olave to reach his full potential. And Carr maybe it's the AC joint, maybe it's something else, but maybe it's a scheme, but he's not pushing the ball down the field, which is why Thomas, Hill, Kamara have seen a little bit more success recently is because he's not pushing the ball down the field.
Yeah, I mean that could be. It's a very good point. I mean, it is interesting. Derek Carr has been known
Give
to.
us some Jameis. Close your eyes and throw it somewhere.
Hey, look, he's a great leader. He's a great leader. That's what everyone says about Jameis. He's a great leader.
Yeah,
He needs other than his leadership, he needs to get better at something. He's a natural talented thrower. I've always been rooting for Jameis Winston, but we just know what he is by now. You never know. You could end up with a Geno Smith type of arc. I don't know. Maybe we wrote him off and he didn't write back. We'll see. Next up, we have Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen's a very strange one, to say the least. I mean, we have him on par
What
with
is going on with Adam Thielen?
Okay, listen to this, though. I mean, this guy trajectory just went downhill. We all know that. It is what it is. He was the experienced wide receiver going through a young team. We know what that looks like. Look at DeAndre Hopkins. It's not good. Then all of a sudden, Adam Thielen comes out of nowhere as the number one receiver. He's never even been the number one receiver anywhere. In Minnesota, he was behind Justin Jefferson. And look at this. Justin Jefferson is not that far out from Adam Thielen. And this was, 4 years ago? And he started pumping on the brakes by then, even then. So I mean, I guess you keep and hold Adam Thielen. I think you are in the borderline of selling him if you can, but I don't know what someone's going to give you. I mean, to be honest,
keep playing him. I don't know who's going to give you wide receiver 2 value for Thielen, which is exactly what he's been the past if the whole year. And he has done it before Justin Jefferson came in Minnesota. You remember that year or those couple of years with Thielen just going absolutely berserk.
Even
he
with
seems
that,
to be
even then it was it was Stephon Diggs. So go ahead. Sorry.
I mean, even that was Diggs there then? Okay. Anyways, even then he's found himself a favorite target of Bryce Young, and he's found some success doing it and running those. I guess, find ways to get open. Being a savvy vet.
Hey, he's hooked on a Thielen.
Now, you see that rookie quarterbacks will cling to a target. Typically it'll be someone safe like a tight end, but Adam Thielen, he finds a way open. Bryce Young found that trust, and we'll throw it his way if he's there.
Well, we'll see what Young looks like by the end of the year. I'm really hoping to see more of that talent from Alabama. Truly, I feel like he would be an exciting fantasy player if he can get it going. Not saying to buy him, by the way. We still have to see. Next on the list, at least, anything you want to talk about, or do you want me to take it away?
This would be where we were mad, right? And someone would pay us to do that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we can get the old granny on here. I don't know if we've ever seen the old granny before, but the old granny.
One guy I am confused about here is Jalen Waddle. What are your thoughts on him?
Listen, I love Jalen Waddle, but at the same time, I understand his value. He's not going to be the wide receiver one. Maybe some weeks. He hasn't been as hit or miss as usual, which is kind of weird. But he sits in that 10 to 50, I would say 10 to 20 point range weekly, which is fine with me. I mean, it's kind of what a wide receiver 2 is, right? So I don't know. I don't see his ceiling being very high. I also don't see his floor being very low. He's on a high-powered Miami offense. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if they can find a way to somehow stop Tyreek Hill, then I think Jalen Waddle can benefit from that because they're going to have to throw to somebody else. But, I mean, right now it's the Tyreek Hill show in Miami, and it's their running backs running away with everything too. I'm more buy low, I think, on Waddle than most people because I don't see the running backs holding their value as they have. I see Waddle getting more involved. So it just depends on what you think is going to happen. It's really speculative at this point. He's getting about the amount of targets you thought are expecting. He's getting about the amount of receptions, the yards, about the amount of touchdowns. It's kind of like one of those things. It's like, well, I guess you're kind of what I drafted you as. That usually doesn't happen in fantasy.
Yeah, it's the same idea as the running backs. It's a talented offense with plenty of yards and plenty of touchdowns to go around, and maybe these just didn't fall Waddle's way in the first part of the year, and I will take anybody from Miami.
That's fair. I mean, like I said, it's a track meet there all the time. A guy I don't
Yeah.
like is Jacoby Myers. I hate seeing him jump up these rankings. Last week, garbage time, complete garbage time touchdown, complete garbage time yards. He was he was less than a threat in the first half. I don't know exactly what his numbers were, but he wasn't seen really. Um, I don't like Jacoby Myers at all. That's definitely a sell high in my eyes. Um, because I mean he's the number two wide receiver in a not very good offense. He's not going to surpass Devontae Adams. There's no way. Even when Jimmy G comes back, I don't see a whole lot there that's appealing to me.
Yeah, no, I mean Jimmy G likes to throw those underneath routes and keep the ball pretty close to him, and Myers runs that, and that's why he's had the success thus far. So I'm not putting too much weight on the Hoyer games here, and no, but I'm with you. This is a steep price for Jacoby Myers right now, sitting around Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Waddle, Jordan Addison, T. Higgins. I
I
mean,
mean,
a lot of
he's on the
talent, man.
same
He's
he's on the
successful
same
and he's got the
page.
route to be successful, but I don't know if he should be up this high.
He's on the same page as Devontae Adams. Like that's crazy to me. I mean,
Yeah.
granted that's like 10 spots away, but I'm not very good at counting, so I'm not going to count. Um, but I feel like okay, so Brandon Ayuk, pretty good. I feel like I if you have anything to say, just jump on in. But I feel like Brandon Ayuk right there. I have Jordan Addison next up. Jordan Addison, appropriately valued at this point in my eyes. I was saying buy low for him, but after that huge game, he's about appropriately ranked, even with Jay Doe's coming back. T. Higgins, the ultimate buy low right now, the typical buy low for any fantasy manager ever. Uh, a guy who is typically a wide receiver two who falls off the next year. That's literally what this. I mean, we've seen this script before. It's kind of like one of those things. You don't want to trade too much for T. Higgins, but I mean, you kind of got to trade for him. He's going to end up getting back to wide receiver two numbers, especially with Joe Burrow back. So might as well if you can. Trade him. Some trade bait I would give is Christian Kirk. Personally, maybe DK Metcalf. And I give up a lot for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And let's see. How much do you like Christian Kirk?
Yeah, I'll take
Honest.
some Christian Kirk where it's there. I mean, he's found himself very successful, finding some success. I know the targets haven't been um, all that high, if I'm not mistaken here. Um, but he's got a nice little niche in that explosive Jacksonville offense, and I think he's priced fairly appropriately. You're sitting at 6 targets, 8 targets, 12 targets. I mean, he's getting the work in this offense, and it hasn't been a good schedule this year for receivers. I mean, you look at from up in week 2, Kansas City, Houston has been playing the pass well. They struggle with the run. Atlanta's in the same boat. Buffalo's a good defense. You got Indianapolis. You got New Orleans, who's another good defense, and then Kirk just keeps producing. So. And
Yeah,
then out of the gate next, he's got Pittsburgh, San Fran, Tennessee. They'll probably be forced to throw the ball against those teams as well.
yeah, I think that's fair to say. That's a good point that I didn't bring up. I still don't agree though. I don't totally agree. I mean, if you look a little bit below it, it's unbelievable to me that Ridley is this far below Kirk. Like I have Ridley higher than Kirk, and I mean, I'd say switch the spots for me, and I would be okay with that. Devontae Smith should also be higher. I want to say that. I understand you don't have good games, but he's high-powered Philly offense. He's going to be hit or miss some weeks. He should be higher. But
Yeah, I don't disagree with you about
um,
Ridley and Kirk there. How about any of some other lower tier receivers that you're trying to keep your eye on, looking for a buy low or looking to cash out?
listen, there's one guy that I don't want anybody to know about, but everybody knows about him at this point is Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is my favorite receiver. I think maybe one of my favorite Baylor receivers of all time. PFF has him scored as a top 15 receiver in the NFL. He is a rookie. He doesn't understand the playbook yet. He's getting involved in a Patrick Mahomes-led offense in Kansas City. I don't understand how this guy was not being picked up. I don't understand how he's ranked this low. I don't understand a lot of this situation. I had to, unfortunately, trade him in that league we were just talking about. That broke my heart, but Anthony Richardson gets hurt. I need a quarterback, so there goes Rashee Rice. But Rashee Rice, it is time to get him. It's the season to do so. La 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 la. It is Rashee Rice season. So I'm buying Rashee Rice for sure. Another guy, let me check to see if he's on this list. Chris Godwin, I love. I mean, God, win. I mean, it's in the name. You're going to win with Godwin. There's some people are like, God, win. Like, oh my God, win. And then some people are like, God, win. Like, God help me win. So, Rashee Rice and Jackson Smith-Njigba is another guy I really like, even with DK coming back. Buy loads of him. Like, if you can get him in stock, he'd be shooting off to the moon at this point. Jackson Smith-Njigba is very talented. He's in a offense that likes to throw the ball a lot that a lot of people don't know about still somehow, that Seattle's high-powered offense. I think it's just because people are throwing off a Geno Smith at quarterback. But I don't see DK Metcalf falling off either. I maybe see Tyler Lockett falling off a little bit. But Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to get better throughout the year, and he's going to be involved. You need to get him. I think we lost Hunter.
Oh, yeah. And Smith-Njigba was obviously a solid player. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that the Seahawks, they're probably highest on the list in personnel and heavier set personnels that they're lining up in. Trying to check against that now. I know they line up in 13 personnel a lot, which is one running back, 3 tight ends compared to everybody else here. But looking at this, they do line up in a fair amount of 3 wide receiver sets, which will give you some room for Lockett, Njigba, and Metcalf get some time on the field there. One thing to note, they're lined up in 12 personnel, which is 1 running back, 2 wide receivers. 26% of the time, which is on the higher end of the league. So I'm interested to see how the snaps are going to be shared with Njigba, coming back in a little healthier with that hand or wrist injury, and seeing if he can take some snaps in 12 personnel from Metcalf or a Lockett.
Well, I feel like as we get towards these matchups against the Rams and the Cardinals and the 49ers, all those teams, they have high-powered offenses. I don't see them being able to run the ball maybe the Cardinals, but that's it. I don't think they're going to just be able to overpower teams in that instance. I see and I also don't see DK running away with the wide receiver job, although I will say he's definitely over Jackson Smith-Njigba at this point. But I see him in the 2 wide receiver sets next to DK Metcalf for sure in the future. Jerry Jeudy. I hate Jerry Jeudy.
You want Jerry Jeudy? I can give you Jerry Jeudy.
Judge
Jeudy.
Gosh, I think he's been watching too much Judge Jeudy. He's been looking bad.
It, man. He's a talented wide receiver and just can't pull it together. I don't know if it's him, the offense, Russell Wilson, Sean Payton, or a combination of everything. It seems like a series of unfortunate events going on over in Denver.
Yeah, I agree. And I actually see Denver getting better.
Russell Wilson's a Seahawk at heart, man.
I don't know. I don't think they look as bad as most people think, to be fair. their defense looked atrocious before. It's starting to get some hinges on it. It's gotten some. It had a rough start for sure, but it's starting to come together a little bit. I wouldn't count them out just yet. If I were a Denver Broncos fan. But Jerry Jeudy definitely is off that. But he's off the ship, man. There's no coming back. So I'm gonna give a quick commercial break. Give a little ad time. If we're getting towards wedding season over here in 6 months from now, at least a lot of our friends and certain people are getting married in the next year. So wanted to give a quick shout out to Beck Fight in North Carolina. They offer cake pop options, different catering services for bakery, and I've had their delicious cakes at my wedding, and I have to say they are definitely my favorite. Favorite cakes in the business, and I don't think you can get a better deal. So make sure to visit Beck's Bites. I'm really glad to have them as a sponsor. I requested for them, so really glad that they agreed to this. So, anything you have to say about Beck's Bites?
Nope. It's a great time. Great food at a solid price. And I know you chose them for your wedding, and I'm choosing them for mine as well, since your experience was so great.
Yeah, so go ahead, check out Beck's Bites. They're on Instagram. And they have their website, becksbites.com, I believe. We can give that info in the description. So go ahead, click below, visit Beck's Bites, give them a try. I'm sure if you talk to Becky, the owner, she's going to help you out and give you a great deal. Just give her the code FF for Dummies for 10% off your first order. Okay, next up. Man, I'm gonna have to talk to her about that, because I can't just I just kind of said it without actually consulting. But
And once we
I
blow
will
up,
guarantee 10% off. Okay, we'll figure that out somehow. Okay, we're gonna make that happen. 10% off. Okay. All right, Kelsey, number one tight end. Do you have anything different? Is there anything different
nope.
there?
Next. Nope. Next.
Okay, Andrews
Worth pick.
Hockenson.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I got one great deal on that one, so was very happy with that.
Yep.
Yeah, you got Darren Waller.
I'm in the same situation with Mark Andrews. He's performed. He's worth the pick, and that's all there is to it.
I think it's just because the tight ends aren't that good this year. To be honest, I normally would not be happy with how high it is.
Yep.
I mean, it has been like slim pickings. Like, you're talking about having one tight end that it feels like there's only a couple tight ends that were worth drafting, and then the rest are just, you picked up or were just hoping they were good, like, Laporta or Kincaid. Even Laporta I don't like that much. I mean, nobody is really worth the pick. Maybe Hockenson. Taysom Hill, he's on there. You like Taysom Hill? I mean, he plays quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why the New Orleans Saints don't put him at the goal line and just run it with him every time. Or you might as well have him just as the goal line option. It makes no sense whatsoever for you to put Derek Carr out there, who struggles to throw in the red zone, and it seems like their offensive line is struggling. Like, they can't run the ball. Put in this big dude and just have him run up the middle, maybe do a jump pass here or there. Old school Florida Gator Tebow that thing at the goal line.
I like that idea. No, I mean, but it's about finding guys who have a path to be successful. You look at Taysom Hill. That's a guy who I threw on the back of a lot of my deep rosters, and it's helped me out as a guy who someone gets hurt in front of him. He's a tight end, and he gets 3 or 4 carries a game, and probably average around a goal line touch a game or something along those lines. That's what you're looking. That's what you're looking
Fine
for in
upside.
the test that we call the tight end position in fantasy football. It's finding the guy who can score a touchdown. If your guy scores a touchdown that week, you got a top 5 tight end.
That's right. That's right. Is there anybody who's over? I feel like you can't really overvalue these tight ends at this point, though. Like, who are you gonna? What are you gonna get?
Yeah, so someone will call my eyes Darren Waller. The offense doesn't look good. They can't protect Daniel Jones very well. Hopefully that'll get a little better for our sakes. But him. But I mean, you look at who's below him, and then it's like, yeah, it makes sense that he's up there. So
Yeah.
it's another guy to keep an eye
Anybody?
on is Dalton Kincaid with Knox going down and being out.
Any
Kincaid's a guy who
speculative?
can step up, take
Any
take take that
speculative?
role, and hopefully become a decent number 2 for Josh Allen, who's desperately needed that this year. Not force feed Stephon Diggs every single play.
Yeah, I like Kincaid as well. Kincaid, I think, is a good tie. Some people nobody's talking about that. You know, to be fair, I simply watched a game where this guy played and was I was in awe with his talent, and that's Mayer. Um, and he's not on this list, but I feel like Mayer has a lot of promise as the Raiders tight end. He looks very talented. If even with a backup quarterback in there, that he's going to want to check down to somebody. Um, that's one guy I like
Yeah.
that's not on here. Is there anybody else that you can think of that most people may not have their eyes on at tight end at this point?
Dalton Schultz. I mean, Dalton Schultz, a guy who's had 2 really good games in a row, is just coming off the bye. That might be a guy you can pick up off the waiver wire and throw in your lineup and see if oh my God, I'm blanking on the quarterback name. CJ Stroud. Will continue to give him the ball, but he's got 3 games in a row with a touchdown, so he's NBA Jam rules say he's on fire. So let's gotta keep throwing him in the gotta keep throwing him in. He's
That
just
was pretty
desperate,
good.
desperate at the tight end position.
Desperate times take desperate measures. I mean, that scares me when they have 3 touchdowns in a row, though. At the same time, we know what that's like.
Yeah.
Sometimes that doesn't work out. So next up, all right, we're gonna go to quarterbacks a little bit. I guess some guys are undervalued for me, or probably Tua, maybe Joe Burrow. Um, in my eyes, at least. Tua, I feel like just kind of had an off week, so he's just moved down the rankings, and then Joe Burrow's off a bye week, and I feel like we know what Joe Burrow is, and so we know he's going to be better than where he's at. But I don't really
Yeah.
have too much on quarterback.
Tua doesn't have to do much. I mean, Miami, that's all you gotta say. Is he can toss the ball out to Mostert, he can toss the ball out 2 yards and get a 70-yard touchdown off at any point in
That's right.
time. You look at Lamar Jackson. Oh, you notice that these Russian quarterbacks and Patrick Mahomes, who can run the ball, are sitting up at the top 4, as well as you got Tua there as well, who's not always running and burning around. But you go look at Herbert, Burrow, Cousins, Goff. Those are guys who have to throw touchdown passes to be successful. They don't run the ball all that much. Um, especially Burrow with the injury. It's a guy who's got to sit in the pocket, and thankfully he's got a guy like Chase to help him out. But catches my eye is I love him. It's Justin Fields. Um, he may not be the most talented quarterback out there, the most talented quarterback on the field, but when you get a quarterback who's rushing the ball 10 times a game, and that just gets 50 yards, gives you a 5-point floor and a 5-point baseline. And at any point in time, he's got a DJ Moore, and we've seen it. We've seen it against was it Thursday Night Football, where I had the pleasure of scoring almost 100 points in a game with those two. I mean, they can go off
Wow.
and blow up, and when you're looking for somebody, it's and give me a guy who's going to give me a rushing floor and give me something on the ground so I don't get goosed.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. Or I what is wholeheartedly? Wholeheartedly.
Wholeheartedly. Yeah.
Okay, that would make sense, right? We're getting late
Yeah.
here in the podcast. I guess it's not podcast, but the video. So
Going off the walls.
yeah, exactly. Um, Yeah, I mean, there's not much here to really speak about. I feel like Stroud's a good option. Stafford on the lower tier, like you said. If you have these top tier guys, I would advise you not to get rid of them because it's kind of stuck streaming quarterback. It's it's okay. It just stinks if you're have to do that week in week out. It's nice not to worry about it and use your waiver wire picks for guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba or Rashee Rice or some of these younger guys that could come up and just absolutely blow up. We know how that goes. We've seen it year in, year out, where just random people, young players, will just go ahead and blow up. All right. So, well, with that being said, that's pretty much does it for me. Is there anybody else you want to talk about for the quarterback list? And then
No, I
I'll
think
get to
that's
that.
it. It's quarterback's the easiest position to stream. If you're forced to stream them, I wouldn't go out and throw all of your position players at a quarterback. It's continue to grind and bite some kneecaps and find the matchups. That's at that quarterback position. It's easy to find. It's usually easy to find some guy on the waiver wire who's got a good matchup and can perform for you.
Yes, coach. Yes, coach. Yes, sir. So
Keep biting kneecaps, everyone.
I'll do anything for you, Dan. I mean, Hunter. Um, so I'm gonna end this segment on one note. I want us to go ahead and talk about one guy we absolutely look to blow up this week, and we'll have a little race. It's gonna be somebody who has to be. We're gonna say 10% or less rostered. Okay.
10% or less rostered.
Okay. And this will be a little friendly wager. See who wins this and what we do this week in, week out.
Okay.
All right.
I feel like I've had ample time to prepare. Is it more just flex position? We open to this?
Flex position, yes. Flex.
All right, all right.
All
I'll
right.
let you go first and
Yeah,
talk
this
about
is
your
a
guy here while I
complete.
pick somebody.
All right, I'm going Rodriguez for sure. I really like this kid with Washington. I think he's going to end up being used a lot. Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson really haven't proved that much in this backfield. I feel like Robinson could go ahead and just get this done. They love to run the ball. I've already talked about it. Rodriguez. That is my long shot for this week.
Rodriguez is your long shot for this week.
I feel like they're just not going to run
Yeah.
effectively, and then they're just going to use them. And so that's my big long shot.
All right, there you go. Now I'm sitting here trying to decide between a handful of players, and I think I got it here. I'm gonna go Salvin Ahmed. Um, going against New England.
Good choice.
This is a case of they're part of Miami's offense, and I'll have a dart throw with anybody in Miami's offense. And last week wasn't very involved. At the same time, Jeff Wilson Jr. wasn't very involved. Raheem Mostert popped up on the injury report with a knee injury, so maybe Ahmed is in line for a few more touches. So that's who my pick is going to be.
All right, so we'll see who ends up winning that long shot. So, all right, so guys, this is Fantasy Football Dummies. Again, we're a bunch of dummies that just happen to play fantasy football a lot. Hopefully, we can help you win leagues, help you make the playoffs, help you beat your rivals. We're here to do that. I'm Trevor. This is Hunter. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. I love doing this, and to keep this going, we're gonna have to have people like and subscribe to my videos and to this channel. So, thank you guys, and we'll see you next time, dummies. Okay.